Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be looking at the 8.2 patch notes. So this video is just going to be the patch notes. I'm going to have a separate video specifically about the Sightstone Changes, and then I'm going to have a separate video that's a support tier list. And as has been commissioned by a couple of viewers, I'm going to have some itemization videos that are updated for the 8.2 vision changes and the preseason to talk about which items are ideal and why in different situations on utility supports, tank supports, and AP supports. So each one of those is going to be a separate video. It's hopefully a little bit shorter than my standard guides, but I have a bunch of guides coming up. So this one's only going to be the patch notes, and then just stay tuned for other guides, because it's just too much to cover all of that in one video. This will probably already be long enough. We'll see if we can keep it to an hour or less. I always say that. We'll see if it actually happens. Okay, if you want to access the timestamps, you can go into the description for that. And you can also access this Google Doc in the description as well. So if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, you can always skip around to the most interesting parts. Okay, let's get started. All right, the spell targeting thing is a really big deal. I think, so basically what this means is if you cast a single target spell on somebody, it draws minion aggro just like an auto attack does. This is something that has not been in the game since its inception that a lot of people have always called for, because this gives melee champions a major disadvantage, because obviously they're going to take autos and they're going to take spell harass. So Riot realized this when they released the game by adding minion aggro so that melee champions actually have a chance in lane, and now they're adding the spell aggro as well. So this is going to be the biggest deal in the mid lane, because they don't have bushes they can very easily jump into to get rid of minion aggro. So in the bot lane, if you catch minion aggro, it's not a big deal. You just step into the bush, usually, unless it's warded. You step into the bush, clears the aggro, just reset, go about your day. So I don't think it's going to be a huge deal in the bot lane. It will hurt champions like Nami a little bit. However, she usually autos as part of her combo as well. Same thing with Lulu. That's about it. I mean, other champions that harass, like Sona, her spells are not targeted. Janna, it could hurt Janna when she tries to spam W on people. There are a handful of champions that could hurt a little bit in the bot lane, but I don't think it's going to shake up the meta too much in the bot lane. In the mid lane, however, it could definitely have some repercussions. So it's going to improve the laning for melee champs like Ekko, Fizz, Galio. And then it's going to nerf targeted lane harassment champions like Kassadin, Katarina, Annie, Ryze, Vlad. Just anything that's going to throw point-click abilities on people in the lane are going to suffer a little bit from this. So we'll see how it pans out. I think this is mostly going to be around like pro play, when just the tiniest of margins can determine lanes. But I think it won't make a difference in the bot lane. But we'll see. We'll see how it shakes up. I think it will help melee a lot more than it hurts ranged, which is good. We could see more melee champs, because champions like Fizz and it just never really has a chance in lane most of the time. He just gets obliterated in lane. So it'll be interesting to see if he becomes a little bit more viable. Okay, Ekko also got 10%. So Ekko basically got a buff off of this. Then Ekko just got 10% attack speed as well, which I'm not sure. They're saying it could make him viable in the jungle. I'd have to see. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, he could be alright. He's already like a decent pick mid lane. This will certainly help. So we'll see how it goes. Evelynn, probably a pretty good nerf. She kind of terrorizes very high elo. She has a lot of burst. I'm a little worried that when they take away her burst without giving her anything back, she has no utility. She has very limited crowd control. Doesn't take towers very fast. Doesn't take objectives very quickly. I really don't know. I haven't played Evelynn. I haven't played against Evelynn that much. Most of the Evelynns that I play against are not really that much of an issue. There are just a couple of high-profile challenger players like Pantsar Dragon, a couple other people that are abusing Evelynn in challenger. I really didn't think she was having enough of an impact to warrant the change. She does a lot of damage, sure, but that's all she does. You have a huge warning sign when she's coming up on you. I don't know. I think there's enough counterplay to her. I don't really get it. I think there are other champions that need to be nerfed before her. People just get aggravated by burst damage. There she is. Yeah, I mean, she's at a 49% win rate at Platinum Plus. Like, I don't get it. I don't know what's so disturbing about her. I mean, I would have thought that, I mean, obviously win stats aren't everything, but if it's something that, like, a lot of people are crying about and complaining about that seems like it could be overpowered, I feel like either Shyvana or Rammus would be two of the champions. Maybe even Warwick, like in solo queue, that people would cry about. As far as competitive, if they want to balance that out, I think Sejuani probably needs another nerf. Sejuani and Jarvan. So, I don't know. Whatever. I don't think it's going to shake up the meta that much. If you like Evelynn, this is bad for you. If you don't, whatever. I mean, she'll be okay. She'll be okay, but I think that this certainly doesn't help. I don't think it's going to matter in the long run most games, though. She wasn't super popular in Platinum. Low Diamond. Alright, Ezreal. Now, this is a big deal. This is taking his poke early on. That's 20 damage off his level 1 Mystic shot. Now, yeah, you're not going to be spamming that a lot, but even at level 5, when you start to be able to spam it after you get your tier, it's still going to be 10 less per. Now, the damage does come back up once you get it all the way leveled up, once you're level 9. So it does sort of balance out. But at the same time, like, his early game is really, really awful now. Like, it's really bad. He never has had a great early game, and now it's really bad. So it hurts. It hurts. The other thing is the Klepto nerf, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But I think, personally, he was already falling out of favor in solo queue, I think. A lot of people just do not itemize him right for solo queue. So many people get Iceborne Gauntlet on him, and it's just trash. He just doesn't do enough damage, especially now that tanks are coming back into vogue. He just doesn't do enough. He's not powerful enough. He's going to get outscaled and just completely blown up by, you know, Vayne, Twitch, Kog'Maw, just anyone that's an 80 carry late game. So, I understand in pro play why he's good. He's not even pick banned in pro play on patch 8.1, though. You know, like, he's good. He is picked. But, you know, Kog'Maw's picked, Trist is picked, Caitlyn's picked. Like, there are a lot of champions that are being picked in pro play. Kallista's picked a lot. So I really don't... I thought he was in a fine spot after the most recent nerfs, especially if they're going to nerf Klepto, so I don't know why they had to nerf him twice. He's a fun champion. I mean, people like to play him. People like Klepto, you know, it's a cool design. So I think they're overdoing it on this, and I think this is going to knock him out of top 5. Like, I think he's going to be really bad right now. If you do play him, build Trinity Force in solo queue. You have to have Trinity Force. You have to have damage. Okay? You can't do Iceborne Gauntlet. It's not enough damage. You have to carry from the AD position. You have to do big damage. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I was never really scared when I saw an Ezreal on their side of the map, and I don't know. It seems a little excessive, but yeah, he's definitely going out of the meta for sure, I think. People will still play him because he's fun and because people like the Klepto interaction, and people just don't read patch notes and just say, oh, I thought he was overpowered, and they just haven't been paying attention for the last month after the last couple of nerfs, but he's definitely down in power. Now, Jinx is someone, this is interesting. So they're lowering her base attack damage by 5, which is a lot. They are giving her an extra, what, 0.3 per level? Yeah, so she gets that attack damage back at the very, very end of the game, so I don't really get it. It's like, dude, it's okay to just straight buff her. Like, you don't have to take away some base stats. She's usually pretty bad. How is she statistically? She's getting up there now after these buffs. I knew Twitch would be up there. Like, after they nerf Ezreal and Vayne, Twitch is obviously going to go up to number 1 in my mind. It's pretty obvious to me that that's what was going to happen because he was the 3rd best. A lot of people were saying Twitch is trash. He never showed up on, like, you know, Phylol's videos. Or, I think Phylol rated him, like, tier 4 or something in the last 80 carry video that I saw. I'm like, Twitch is never tier 4. He's always tier 1 in solo queue. Always. But he's even better now that his competition has been nerfed out. So, yeah, Twitch is awesome. And that's part of the issue here. My issue with Jinx is Twitch is so awesome that why would I play Jinx when I could play Twitch? You know, like, they're very similar. I guess she has a slightly better laning phase, but they're designed to be like these team fight beasts in the mid to the late game who just take over that are fairly immobile. But the thing is, Twitch, I believe, has longer range on his ult. He goes invisible, so he can reposition a lot better, and he can double up as an assassin. So if he gets ahead, he can go around and pick off people in side lanes. And he can escape a lot easier. If you have ward coverage and people are collapsing on you, you can get away as Twitch. You're not going to get away as Jinx. So I think he is a little bit safer than she is. I don't know about their raw damage output in fights. I think Twitch probably even does more. But either way, that's my issue with Jinx. It's not that Jinx isn't good, it's that Twitch exists as a champion and that he's better. But these are interesting buffs. So basically they're giving her minigun, you know, up to 130% attack speed, which is very good. That's good for dueling. Now, she doesn't duel that often, though, in team fights. Like, most of the time, you're going to be on fish bones, your rocket launcher. And so this isn't even going to matter in a lot of team fights. It matters when you're taking towers and when you're dueling people. You should be taking towers as Jinx. You should probably not be dueling people as much, though. So, I don't know. It's okay. I don't know if it's enough to make her, like, super back in the meta. But with Jinx and Ezreal nerfed, maybe there's space for her to come up. I just feel like Kog'Maw and Twitch are probably both better than her structurally, and it looks like statistically they are also. And Triss. I think Triss is pretty good now. So, it's okay. Kha'Zix, I'm actually not sure about how much this is going to matter. So they're taking 0.2 off his passive. They're giving him 0.1 on his Q. I don't know Kha'Zix's rotation. I just don't think it's going to matter that much. I mean, they're intending to nerf him here. I suppose it will nerf him. I don't think Kha'Zix is that big of a problem in the meta. Once again, I mean, you see him sometimes. He can snowball and get ahead. But I think that it's really the tanks that do damage that are problematic right now. So you've got Shyvana, you've got, I guess, Rammus and Sejuani don't do that much damage. But they are a lot scarier than Kha'Zix is right now. Jarvan. Who else is, like, scarier jungler? I don't know. I just feel like he's not really a priority, right? Like, I mean, he's 49%. Like, yeah, I know some people are good on him. I haven't even seen him that much in pro play. I've been watching a lot of the LCK while I was really sick the last couple of days, and I still haven't seen him that much. So yeah, I don't understand why he's arbitrarily getting picked out here. Like, yeah, he's all right if you want a damage champion. I just don't think that's where the meta is right now. Malzahar. This is an excellent nerf. This guy has needed to be nerfed for a while. He's too reliable. The point-click R lockdown on 120-second cooldown on top of massive wave clear and, like, pretty respectable damage to objectives, to Baron and Dragon, and then also in team fights and also in one-on-ones. He's just too versatile. He's too strong, and he can't be hooked or hit with, like, skill shots from a distance with his ult or with his passive. So he's just too good. He does too many things, and so I like that they're nerfing this. So they've changed his Q around to where he does less damage. This is basically for his all-in rotation. He's going to do a little bit less, so that's okay. And then this is the big one. They're lowering the cooldown on his ult from 120 to 140 seconds. So I like that move. I don't think this is going to completely remove Malzahar from the meta, but I think it'll give him a lot less uptime for when he wants to be making plays. So I think this will hurt him, but he'll probably be still like tier 1 or tier 2. Just because his kit's really good. So yeah, you'll still see Malzahar, but he'll be a little bit more manageable, especially early on in the game. Now, it does neutralize back out to 80 seconds once he gets to level 16. So this is mostly for the early game and ganks. It's going to slow him down a little bit. And then the mid game, just a pinch. In the late game, there's no difference. So you'll still see him. He'll still be good. It's just not as good as he was. Nunu. Now, this is probably one of the most bizarre and interesting changes on this patch. And I'm not... This one's difficult to tell. Obviously, Nunu went up a lot in terms of his win percentage. Right now, he was... I think he was the lowest win rate champion in the game. I'm pretty sure. I mean, let me look and see. And now he's at almost 55%. Look at this. Win rate by patch. He was at a 46% win rate. Now he's at a 50. So he went up 8 percentage points in the last few days of win rate. And he's been played a lot more. So something tells me he's probably pretty overpowered right now. And it looks like, especially in the early game, the first 25 minutes. So I haven't actually played on this patch yet because I've been sick. I'm going to play tonight, and we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, and I tried to look on, like, pro builds to sort of see how people are building him. To sort of see what's up with that. To see if people are going, like, any AP items. Most people are still going, like, full tank on him. So they're still going, like, Cinderhulk into something. Like, usually Cinderhulk, Knight's Vow, Locket. Just going, like, tank support stuff. Some people get Warmogs. But you aren't seeing much AP. I thought it might be fascinating if some people went, like, you know, Rod of the Ages or, like, Rylai's or something like that with him. Because here's the deal. Here's my thoughts on Nunu. And we'll just have to see when I actually play him. It's obviously a buff. The biggest thing I think about this is going to give him a lot of on-hit damage. So he's going to get up to... And this is... Something's wrong here, because I looked this up before. Because that looks like he should get up to 55 on-hit damage, because it can stack 5 times. Which is really good for clearing the jungle. That's the main thing, is he's going to have much better clear. Because right now his consume kills big monsters pretty easily, but he still has a hard time killing smaller monsters, which is why he gets Cinderhulk. That's a big part of it. Yeah, this says it's only 5 bonus magic damage, not 11. So unless the Wikia is wrong... I mean, maybe they didn't update it. But this says he's only going to get 25 damage instead of 55 damage. Let me see. Oh, it was a hot fix. Okay. So they nerfed it, like, in one day. Like, while I was sick, they nerfed it, basically. Okay, so it used to give 55, and now they've hot fixed it. Down from 55 on hit damage to 25. Okay, that seems a little more appropriate. Yeah, because that seemed a little hardcore, like 55 on hit damage. Okay. So that may have, if he was that overpowered, like maybe he was loose for a couple of days where he had that kind of win rate, and then they just nerfed him back down. So anyways, 25 on hit damage, pretty good. And this is the more interesting one, though. Now additionally gives ability power plus 40%, up to a maximum of this on both targets. That's Nunu and somebody else. So I thought maybe he would get some AP because now he's going to get 40% more AP out of it. So if he went for something like a Rod of the Ages Leandries or something like that, then, you know, he would get a lot of extra AP value out of it. The deal with this, though... Where did Nunu go? Is that you have to kind of choose who you want to target. So do you want to target your AD carry, or do you want to target your mid laner? You can't target both people at once. So that's the issue. Obviously, if you have an Azir on your team, that's really good because he benefits from all of these stats, right? He wants the attack speed, move speed, and ability power. So if you have an Azir, it's amazing. All right, so in pro play, you might see a Nunu-Azir combo. But on most other ordinary champions, there are very few that want a lot of attack speed and ability power. It's like Azir, Kayle. There might be a couple others out there, but mainstream champions, you're not going to see that as much. So you're going to have to choose. Do you want to empower your Jinx, for example, or do you want to empower your Katarina or something, right? So it does give you more options, but in actual practice, it doesn't give you as much power as it seems because most champions are not going to be able to use all 3 of these stats effectively. Okay, so it is good. It does give you more versatility. So like if you have a Jinx that's 0-5 bottom and then you have a Katarina that's 5-0 mid lane, now you can switch and put it on the Katarina instead of on the Jinx. So that's good. So it's definitely a buff. It's just not as strong as people think unless you have like an Azir or something on your team. But it's still pretty good. I mean, he's great at counter jungling. Counter jungling does matter in this meta because there is no more, or there's a lot less catch-up experience than there was. He's still great at objective control. Nice buffs. Especially if people are going more like AP bot lanes or they're going utility bot lanes without the tank stuff. So if you're seeing more Zyras or Jannas bot lane, then he can step in and get things like Knight's Vow, like Locket, and fit your team compositionally that way. He does still do quite a bit of damage with his Absolute Zero if you catch people out in bushes, which you can definitely do in solo queue. He has such nice scaling on his ult and his E. It's really, like I said, it's really shocking to me that he doesn't build any AP given this Blood Boil passive. It just seems like at least a Leandry's at some point would be really good on him. But I don't know. I mean, obviously tank stuff's really good too. Maybe it just depends on what your team needs. But anyway, so definitely better. I'm not sure how far up the totem pole I would put him, but I think he's definitely viable right now, more so than he was before. Okay, Ornn, pretty big nerf. I think this is going to matter more in pro play than solo queue. So basically, you can block CC with his bellows. High-end Ornns can, so if you're about to get hit by a Jack stun or you're about to get hit by an Ashe ult or whatever, you can use the Bellows Breath to block it so that you don't get CC'd. And now they've taken that away, so now you can't block it. So I don't really like those kinds of moves. I like that champions that do have outplay potential like that. So I'm sad to see that go, but that's okay, I guess. And then Call of the Forge God, basically 10 seconds more early and then up to 30 seconds more late. That's a pretty big deal late game for 30 more seconds on an ult. So I don't think this is going to completely dumpster Ornn, but it's certainly going to hurt him. It's going to hurt him a little bit. So I think this might open up a space top lane for more champions like Maokai and Shen to come back, potentially. Gnar is a big problem up there, though. Gnar crushes all of them. GP is still going to be a problem. So picking tanks into some of these other carries, any of those champions into Camille is a big problem. So, I don't know. But you might see, Maokai or Shen come back in the top. That's the best news because he outcompetes them right now. He's like the top lane tank. If you want to play a tank top lane, Ornn's the person that you play, especially in competitive. So I think this is a pretty healthy nerf, but I would like to see a nerf to something like Gnar as well, just to make tanks a bit more viable top lane. At least in competitive. Gnar is in like every game in competitive, and he's picked specifically to beat up a lot of tanks. Because he beats up tanks and he beats up GP really well. He beats up everything. Like Gnar is the champion they should be nerfing. But anyways, this Pantheon change, whatever. It helps him out a little bit. The change to minion aggro is going to hurt him a lot. So, we'll see. I don't think it's going to matter that much. He's still like a pub stomp. You better win the game in 25 minutes or less or you're going to lose type of champion. So that's not going to change. Hymn of Valor. This is a pretty nice mana buff. But the problem is Sona's been nerfed so much. I just did a Sona coaching video that I'm going to release later today. She got nerfed 11 times. 11 times if you include the runes. I didn't even include the items, I don't think, in that calculation, like Ardent Sensor being nerfed. So, yeah, this gives her back a little bit. It's going to help her with her mana management, but her Q does so much less damage. Her W heals and shields for so much less than it used to. I just feel like if you want a teamfight champion, I would just play either Taric or Janna right now. So, I don't know. I mean, she can compete if you feel like you're going to be safe later, like... she does have harassment early, and now that the Relic Shield meta is falling out of favor, then you might be able to stick some of that harass a little bit better. So you might see her coming in, but I still think she needs a few more buffs before that happens. She's okay. I haven't done the tier list video. She'd probably be like tier 3, something like that. She's all right, but I don't, I think there are probably better options all the time. Vayne, pretty big nerf. This basically comes down to 350 gold every rank. So rank 1, you're losing 350. Rank 2, 700. And rank 3, 1050. So that's a lot of gold worth of AD she's losing on her ult. In addition, she's losing a lot of attack speed growth, which is important, and she's losing the Relic Shield meta. So she's not going to get a free pass in lane anymore. I don't think she's going to be that great anymore. She's okay. She already takes like 2.5 items to get going, because a lot of people rush Static Shiv on her, and then they get Infinity Edge after that. So I think she takes a long time to get going, and I think people are going to be able to stick more harass on her in lane. So she'll still be viable, but I don't think she'll be top 5 after these changes. We'll see. I mean, she's not doing very well statistically, but that doesn't always mean that she can't be good. For instance, I think Kalista is extremely strong right now, but I think a lot of people are just bad on her. I think Kalista's a huge winner after they've nerfed Vayne and Ezreal. She's extremely good in lane. Yeah, so I still think Kalista's great, even though she has the lowest win percentage right now. Okay. Runic Ekko, I don't think is going to matter that much. Just nobody gets this item. They had toyed with giving it 20 more AP, which I would have been interested in seeing that, but maybe they thought Ekko could be too strong if they did that, since they gave him these other buffs this patch. I mean, this would help out, like, Elise or Ekko, maybe Nidalee. There just aren't a lot of champions that run Runic Echoes, though, so it's hard to say how much is going to impact. I don't think it's going to change that much. I think the AP junglers are still going to be pretty rough. Evelynn, obviously, it would help. So yeah, I don't think it's going to shake up the meta too much, but it's better if you like playing AP junglers. Okay, Sightstone's removed. So like I said, I'm going to do an entire other video about Sightstone. I am working on the notes real quick. I can just walk through the notes that I have prepared, and then just stay tuned for the rest of the video on that. I need to do a little bit of additional research for it. But basically, these are the notes that I have for it. So they've removed Sightstone, Ruby Sightstone, Face the Mount, Frost Queen's Claim, and Talisman. Each support quest is now 500 gold instead of 750. Completing the quest rewards 3 gold, or 3 wards. You get a 4th ward if you upgrade it to the tier 3. So if you get what the equivalent would have been to Eye of the Watcher, Eye of the Equinox, whatever, you'll still get your 4 wards, and they end up being 400 gold cheaper than they used to be. So you save 800 gold off of just getting your tier 2 item. You get a free Sightstone with it, basically. And if you want to upgrade to the tier 3, then you're only saving 400 gold in efficiency. So the valuation, Frostfang is 112% gold efficient at tier 2. Targon's is only 72% efficient at tier 2. And Nomad's Medallion is 49% efficient at tier 2. Now, ideal gold gain is 90 gold per turn in lane with Frostfang, or 90 gold per minute in an ideal case with Frostfang. Targon's is 80 gold, and Nomad's about 80 gold. Now, obviously there's a lot of wiggle room. Frostfang is the least reliable, so you're probably going to fall well short of 90 gold per minute in the lane. Targon's is pretty reliable, and then Nomad's is very reliable. So Nomad's is the most reliable, and so that kind of makes sense in terms of their valuation. You're getting a lot of upfront value on Frostfang because the gold is a lot less certain, even though you have the potential to make the most gold off of it. Okay. The tier 3, though, if we watch this, Eye of the Watchers is only 100% efficient. Now Eye of the Equinox becomes 116% efficient. And you get 1 additional charge, so you can get up to 4 stored up charges of extra gold, which is really nice when you're walking around the map. You know, warding, roaming, all of that kind of stuff. You get those extra charges stored, so you're not losing any equity in that, right? Whereas with Frostfang, which turns into Eye of the Watchers, you still only get 3 charges, and so if you're running around roaming while you have 3 charges, you're losing money because there aren't any new charges stacking up. So that is really nice that Eye of the Equinox does end up giving you more gold. And Eye of the Oasis is only 78% efficient. So Eye of the Oasis is just a hot pile of garbage most of the time. It does give you more gold later in the game. Eye of the Equinox, it's still pretty easy to get that gold late game. You can still kill minions and get charges. So there's not that much fall off in the gold that you get from Eye of the Equinox. Eye of the Watchers falls off a lot in terms of gold generation late in the game, because you're not able to just walk up and hit enemies anymore with most champions. There are some champions you can poke with them to get it, like maybe Vel'Koz or, Zyra if you're maxing your W second. Like there are a couple of instances, but most champions you can't get close enough to use those Watcher charges on cooldown. But Eye of the Equinox you always can. And of course Oasis, if you're near waves, you're going to be getting a lot of gold. So Oasis will still give you a ton of gold, but it's very, very gold inefficient. And the stats that you get are garbage. They're really bad. Like you're getting health regeneration. I don't even know if it has mana regen on it anymore. But it's really, really bad. So I don't think anyone's going to go Oasis anymore for the most part. It was already very rare. Usually only like some Rakans would get it. A lot of Rakans would still get Spell Thief. Very, very few champions went Oasis after the most recent round of nerfs. It was like a month or a month and a half ago. So basically the stat strength, Eye of the Watchers has great stats. It's great in lane, but it's bad gold late game. Eye of the Equinox is great stats. It's great in lane, and it's good late game. Oasis is trash stats. It's trash in the lane, and it has good gold late game. Okay, so I think Equinox is the best one out of this. I had thought that it might be the worst, but it's actually pretty good. So it's not as bad that people have to rush Equinox now instead of Ruby Sightstone. Ruby was good. It did let you go face of the mountain. But you're going net neutral on the CDR. Someone said you're losing 10% CDR by losing Ruby Sightstone. You're not, because Ruby Sightstone didn't have CDR on it. So you're not losing the CDR. You are losing the item active, but you're also getting more gold so that you can go buy items. The problem is there aren't a lot of great items to go buy. You get Knight's Vow, Locket, and then after that it's kind of dicey. You can get Frozen Heart. You could get Iceborne Gauntlet on some champions. You could get Zeke's Convergence on some champions. You could get Righteous Glory on some champions, like an Alistar maybe. So there are definitely some options in there, but I think tanks end up the best out of this. If I had to guess in terms of just the Sightstone changes, I feel like tanks benefit the best, and then probably AP champions would be my guess. And utility champions are probably worse off, but I don't know. Like Janna can use Watcher in lane, like Rakan can use Watcher, but in terms of just gold efficiency throughout most of the game and just like overall stat efficiency, I think that the Eye of the Equinox is going to be the best one. Now, quest chain, what are the consequences of losing the initial quests? With Watcher, immobile champions get hit pretty hard by this. So Zyra, Brand, Soraka, Sona, these type of champions that liked getting Eye of the Watchers, they don't get that burst of speed, so they don't get the extra, 50% move speed over 1 second, or whatever it was. It also helps stop some of the abuse from other lanes. So Vladimir was starting to get this so that he would get extra movement speed. There were a lot of champs that were kind of abusing this. So it will stop some of that, the people who are getting Frost Queens in other lanes. It'll help balance that out. Targons, you lose the shield, which is okay. It's not going to matter as much for tanks. It's okay for tanks, but it will matter a lot for AD carries. I just don't think that AD carries are going to build Targons now without getting the extra shield. It's just not going to be worth it. You could get wards off of it, but I don't think that's going to matter too much to a lot of AD carries. So the tanks will be okay without the shield. It is nice, but a lot of them don't necessarily need it. The ward swap is probably, and saving 800 gold is probably a better bargain for them. But it will take away the Targon ADC meta. I'll talk about that more in the Vision video. But basically, harassment champs are going to be back, and it's, champions like Vayne and Twitch are going to take a bit of a hit in the early game. But the direct nerfs to Twitch and to Ezreal, or to Vayne and to Ezreal, will boost up Twitch in the overall ranking. So anyone that's weak early game is not going to like this change. Anyone that's strong in the early game, the Misfortunes, the Gens, they're really going to like this, because now their harass is actually going to mean something in lane again. And most people are going to like this change. Most people do not like the farm off Ardent Sensor 2.0 meta without Ardent Sensor of Targons, just the farm off bot lanes. Okay. Not having the Talisman quest primarily hurts Nasa's top, who is kind of choosing to abuse that. For most other people, it's just not going to matter that much. The quest, it was okay. Like, you do get the move speed when you run towards people. That was helpful. But as I said, a lot of people weren't using Oasis anyways. I was kind of bucking the trend and getting it on Rakan when most people were going Spell Thieves on Rakan. So, I don't think it's going to matter that much. Yeah, so Targon meta shift, harass support's becoming a little bit stronger. So Sona, Nami, Lulu, Karma, Soraka, Zyra get stronger. Weak lane ADCs lose ground. So Ezreal, Vayne, Twitch, Sivir. Early lifesteal and non-crit, non-fleet footwork users get stronger. So Kalista, Draven, Kog'Maw really like this. Because they're not getting critical strikes. They don't get a lot of benefit out of fleet footwork. And they usually get an early lifesteal item. So Kalista gets Blade and King. Draven will get... like Death's Dance or Bloodthirster usually, and then Kog'Maw will get a Blade and King like second or third item often. So all of these people are going to like these changes. Bully champs will like it. Jhin, Misfortune, Tristana, and a lot of tanks are still going to be strong. Okay, then I start talking about tank itemization a little bit. You know, a lot of, once you lose Ruby and face the mountain, it's going to impact champions who scale off of HP the most, because whichever new items you get to substitute are not going to give you that much health, most likely, with the exception of Righteous Glory. So, like, your substitute items being Zeke, Frozen Heart, Iceborne Gauntlet, Righteous Glory, or Banner of Command, only Glory gives you health, and so champions like Braum, Tom, Shen, and Taric, who have a lot of health scaling in their kit, are not going to like it, because they're going to lose Face, they're going to lose Ruby, and that gives a lot of health. And this is also going to make tanks who benefit from Aftershock lose out on that as well. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of changes. So stay tuned. I'll have a whole video about that where I use more examples and bust it out. But that's just kind of a preview of things to come once I come up with that fully. But I think that people who will benefit the most are probably utility champions, tanks, and AP. It's tough to say. I know a lot of people were originally saying, and I thought that maybe AP champions make a comeback like Zyra. It's possible. I'll have to try it out. The AP items are good, but the problem is the utility champions are also going to hit their power spikes faster too. They're going to get, once they get that redemption and lock it, then AP champions just aren't going to kill anybody anymore most of the time. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't think it's going to help AP as much as people initially thought it would. Okay, Aftershock changes are going to be a huge nerf, especially to early game aggressive, engaged champions. So champions like Shen, Blitzcrank, Leona, Alistar, all these people are going to be hurt by this who want to get Aftershock. This is very unusual that they would give out 70 flat armor and magic resist early. This could set up some abuse where some squishy champions could go very aggro early on, who have like good damage or CC. So like Thresh is someone who immediately comes to mind. Like, he would actually probably like this. Like, you would do a little bit less damage with Aftershock, but having that 70 flat armor on him would really allow for good trades, especially because a lot of his kill threat is based on his CC and not his outright damage early on. So it could be a good change for Thresh, potentially. Rakan's another one who might like it, because when he engages, then he's not going to be sticking around a lot of times for the Aftershock to land. Usually he jumps away before the Aftershock lands. So allowing him to have 70 flat armor and magic resist, allowing him to have 70 flat armor and magic resist could help him, especially in early game trades. So Rakan might be someone this likes, or who likes this. And then I think that there might be some other strange champions that crop up that also use this. Like, I could imagine, like, maybe something like a Riven top could use this for early game trades. I mean, just imagine Riven going in for a stun every, 20 seconds or so and getting 70 armor so that no one can trade back with her while that's going on. So I could see some like corner cases people aren't thinking about who are really squishy, like engaged dive champions with high damage that could benefit from getting the 70 flat armor that don't have another good mastery in mind, or another good rune in mind. So I could definitely see some of these champions using this. But overall, it's mostly going to be a nerf to a lot of the people who currently use Aftershock. And there might be some corner abuse cases that crop up. But overall, it's going to be a nerf. Grasp, minor buff, not going to matter. It'll help out Gnar if Gnar chooses to get that. But I don't think any other champions, like maybe Kennen or something. Like there just aren't going to be a lot of ranged champions that get Grasp. And I think Gnar still does Airy for better lane harass, but, you know, maybe this will make him want to get Grasp a little bit more. I'm not sure. If it benefits anyone, it'll benefit Gnar. Guardian is a minor nerf. It does give you a much higher cooldown in lane, which sucks, but it does give you a higher shield when it does do that, and it does scale later in the game, particularly with an extra AP ratio, an extra bonus health ratio. So it's decent. I mean, I think it's a nerf, but I think the champions who get this will still get it. Like, I think it'll still be good on, like, Taric, Tom, Braum. Just a lot of these utility type of tank champions will still get it. I think it'll still be good. So it'll be okay. It'll open you up to more harassment in lane, but I don't know. I mean, 70 seconds is a lot. It does go down to 40 seconds late game, and you do get, it's the same level of shield later in the game, but it does have better scaling. I don't think it's going to make your laning phase harder, but your team fights will be slightly better. So overall, it's a nerf, but I don't think it's going to shake up the meta too much. I could be wrong about that, but we'll see. All right, Glacial Augment. It's not going to matter. I mean, who cares? It just nobody uses this. You know, maybe Gnar. I really don't understand why Gnar wouldn't want this, because he gets Frozen Mallet anyways, so clearly he likes the effect, and Frozen Mallet is not very cost efficient. I mean, the range slow is much higher here. It's from 30 to 40%. I don't know. Like, I don't know the intricacies of Gnar, but I feel like if he got this, then he wouldn't have to run Airy, and he could run, he could get all of the cool inspiration stuff. Because I feel like that tree's pretty bad for him, right? I mean, I guess you get Scorch. You get Scorch, you get Airy, you get Celerity. But, I mean, wouldn't he rather run Frozen and then get, like, Stopwatch? Yeah, I mean, he could get Stopwatch, Boots, Cosmic Insight, and then he could go over and get, like, Second Wind and Conditioning. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe Gnar could run Glacial Augment here, and then he wouldn't have to spend, whatever, 3,000 gold, 3,200 gold on Frozen Mallet, and he could get something that's, like, more useful. I don't know. I could see Gnar using this. He would like it, but once again, Gnar is going to be the only person I could think of who would really want to get this. I mean, Aurelion Sol uses it. There's a couple of corner cases, but very, very few people use this. I mean, maybe Swain, like the new Swain, would use it. We'll see. I don't think it's going to shake up the meta too much. Now, here's something that will shake up the meta. Kleptomancy. And I only have about 10 or 50 more minutes here, so I really want to try to keep this to under an hour. But Kleptomancy, I don't know why they don't just come out and tell you the dang numbers. I was watching Freak's patch note video, the Riot Shoutcaster, who has a YouTube channel. Great guy. But he was, like, he knows the numbers. He wouldn't tell us. He's like, it doesn't matter what the numbers were. That's what he said in his video. He's like, you know, it drops less or whatever. I'm like, of course it does. And he's the guy with all the spreadsheets and stuff who does a lot of math in his patch notes, which I really like about that. To come out and say it doesn't matter what the drop rate is, of course it does. Like, if someone were to tell you, you have a 1 in 10 chance to win $1,000 if you know, pay this much money, or you have a 1 in 10,000 chance of winning $1,000, that's a big deal. You know, like, you want to know the percentage if you're making the investment. If you're going to make the investment to get Kleptomancy over another rune, then you should know what you're investing in. So, we don't know what this means. It says significantly and blah, blah, blah. Now, I did some research and found, now this isn't like super scientific or anything, but this is the best info I could find, where a guy actually went through and tested this out with Gangplank. So he didn't do it with Ezreal, so we don't know how it affects ranged champions. But for melee champions, this is what he found. So the first 15 minutes of the game, the drop chance went from about a 35% chance to a 25% chance for an item to drop for melee champions, so for Gangplank. After 15 minutes, it goes up to a 57% drop chance, so he thinks that it went up a lot after 15 minutes. So that's all I know. And I linked it here. If you want to read more about his article, I went ahead and linked it in the Google Doc here if you want to find it. And he goes through like the different percentage chances of different things going on. I think he tested it like 300 times at under 15 minutes and then 300 times post 15 minutes in the practice tool. And you can just see sort of his statistical breakdown of these different things. So we don't know how it affects... He has a TLDR down here too. We don't know how it affects Ezreal, which is the big question. But it looks like in terms of like Gangplank, Nasus, Illaoi, like all of those top lane users, it's still going to be good. I would think that it's still good. I mean, a 25 or 26% chance seems pretty good. That is 1/3 less than it was. So that's something to keep in mind, because it was a 35% chance. But that still sounds like it's okay. I don't know. I mean, time will tell. But I think it's really bad for Ezreal. I think it's reasonable for these other champions. There were quite a few abusers of it. So Nasus is going to get hit by the talisman removal and by the Klepto change. So maybe Nasus doesn't deserve a ban at Plat and lower now. Illaoi's probably still going to be annoying. We'll see. But yeah, I think that hurts Ezreal more than anybody. The other people, it seems like it'll probably be okay. Okay, other changes. Coup de grace. I think this is a pretty... Not a huge deal, but it's pretty important. They're also nerfing the bonus gold you get off of Triumph, which it's not going to be that big of a deal. But coup de grace going from 9 to 7% is a pretty big deal. So what a lot of champions will do, assassin type of champions, is they will splash into precision to grab coup de grace and Triumph, so that they deal that extra bit of burst damage. So they might go all the way down in domination and then go over to coup de grace. I'm not sure if it was so much of a problem it needs another nerf, but it is going to hurt all-in assassin burst champions. So knocking 2% off of that is a big deal. Hardly anybody gets last stand from what I remember, so that's not going to matter. But taking off 2% from coup de grace is a big deal. So this is going to hurt your all-ins, like your Katarinas, your Fizzes, your Talons. All of those type of champions are going to be hurt by this change. So that empowers heal champions. So if people don't get bursted down immediately, that means you have time for more heals, more shield. So Janna gets stronger with this. Tarot gets stronger. All of the heal shield champions get better off of that. Zombie Ward, we'll see. Jury's out for me on this. Obviously, it's a nerf. Ghost Poro's not going to matter. The reason is this is so short range. Like a normal Sightstone has 1100 sight range. This only has 450. Give me a break. Like, just make the Ghost Poro give you normal vision radius. I don't know what's wrong with that. Like, it can be cleared if anyone walks into the bush. You can only have one of them out at a time. It goes into the newest bush that you went. Like, there are so many different ways that this thing, or at least give it like 800 vision, just something respectable. I mean, this is ridiculously low vision. It doesn't see anything. Like, I personally think it would be fine if it was 1100 vision. I think it would be fine if it was a normal Sightstone vision. But as it is, the vision's still too weak on it. Zombie Ward, now going from 60... Now, basically, you don't have to attack a ward to get vision on it anymore, or to get a Zombie Ward. Minor buff. Now, going from 180 seconds to 60 to 180, and this is getting nerfed because of junglers, not because of supports. So supports who get this are just kind of caught in the crossfire here. You still get 60 extra seconds on a ward. I still think it's good because I think it still pairs really well with Ingenious Hunter. Even having a temporary, like, extra bit of time on your ward is important. Realistically, a lot of zombie wards get swept up anyways in that amount of time. like a typical scenario kind of in the mid game when you're vying for vision control is you'll go through and sweep some wards in the enemy jungle. Their wards, you'll get the zombie wards in their place, and then they'll come back through and clean up your zombie wards like maybe a minute later. So I don't think it's going to be like a massive deal. Obviously it hurts, especially the early game where you can just get your trinket wards to time out and give you an extra, 3 minutes on your ward. So I don't know. It does hurt. It's totally possible that maybe support should go over to Magical Footwear plus Cosmic Insight on certain supports. Because that is a very, very good bargain. I mean, that's like 600 gold worth of value there. I don't like Stopwatch on supports because you don't have a good item to turn Stopwatch into. I mean, you could get like Hourglass, Gargoyle Stoneplate, or Guardian Angel, all of which are bad on most supports. Obviously on someone like Morgana, yes, you want it because you're going to get Hourglass, but on other champions, I'm just not so sure. You could also go Biscuit, like Footwear Biscuit if you wanted to, if you're in a tough lane against like a Zyra as a Taric or something. But Ingenious Hunter is so good, though. That's the thing. Ingenious Hunter is so good. Even though they're removing Ruby Sightstone, you're still going to be getting a lot of item actives. Like, it's not going to matter that you're losing that 20%. You can still get 40% off of Ingenious. It's not like you're all of a sudden going to stop buying Redemption and Locket because Ruby Sightstone doesn't exist in the game. You're still going to buy those items because they're still the best items on a lot of enchanters. So, or like Mikhail's Crucible, which is still really good. So, unless you're going to be rushing like Ardent Censer into Athene's Unholy Grail, which, maybe you could do that in some circumstances on like Sona. Even then, I think it'd probably be weak. Like, you're going to be having active items. Maybe on tanks, let's see. I mean, maybe that would change on tanks. You're still going to have Knight's Vow and Locket, which are standard, and those are 2 actives. If you don't care about the Knight's Vow active, though, and you're just going, like, Frozen Heart after that, which is not another active. Zeke's, it doesn't matter. Item active on that. So, like, maybe tanks could consider going Magical Footwear plus something else. Like, probably Magical Footwear plus Cosmic Insight. Maybe. Maybe the nerf to Zombie would make tanks not want to do that. But as far as enchanters go, if you're going to get Redemption and you're going to get Locket, you want Ingenious Hunter. And if you're getting Ingenious Hunter, then you want Zombie Ward. So I still think it'll be Zombie Ingenious on most champions. Certainly on champions that are going to be getting Redemption and Locket. But if you're like a big tank that's not going to be getting Redemption, so you're like a Tom Kench or an Alistar, I think Frozen Heart will probably be the thing that people replace it with. Like, I think people are going to go, like, Knight's Vow, Locket, Frozen Heart. Like, I have the Equinox, Knight's Vow, Frozen Heart, Locket. Then maybe, because that would give them 40% CDR. Maybe you wouldn't do it then. I'll have to try. This is one that's the biggest question mark for me. I still think, like, okay, so my verdict right now, having not played on this patch, but just looking at the notes here, I think utility champions, you still want Zombie and Genius. Big tanks, you might want to try out going into Insight for Footwear and Cosmic. And AP supports never went this anyways. AP supports always went for Footwear and usually Biscuits and Lane. So, anyways, that's going to be it. Interesting patch. Be sure to stay tuned. I will have the tier list video up sometime today or tomorrow. Most likely, I'll have some new coaching sessions up. Then I'm going to do those itemization and the Sightstone video as well. So, stay tuned for all of that. Lots of good content coming at you. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.